and thank you for joining me today. Today we're going to talk about one of a very important element inside the flow builder called loop and assignment elements. So I get a lot of requests on these two elements, especially because they involve collections, and this video is going to be helpful for anyone who has used flows, beginner level flows, but quite not sure on how to use the loop element or where to use, what's a good use case for it. And especially for those who don't have developer background, it might be a little bit intimidating at the beginning on how to use the loop element. So I hope you find this video helpful, and this is also part of the series which I started on covering the basics of flows. So let's start with the use case. So anytime you have collection involved or more than one record, you need to deal with more than one records, or you need to insert more than one records. You probably need to start thinking about loops then and the collection. When I say collection, it means like a list of records. It could be list of contacts you want to create, list of accounts based on certain conditions, a list of contact roles, anything that you want to insert in list or update or manipulate to list. You probably should start thinking about loop element then. And why do we want to insert in list is because if you are not thinking about this ahead of time, you might run into DML limits, which is, there is a standard limit called DML limits, which is 150 limits in one transaction. So you don't want to exceed those limits, otherwise when you do mass inserts or updates, you will start getting those errors. Alright, so today's use case is a very simple one, and I'm going to keep it simple. So basically the use case is anytime an opportunity gets created, what we want to do is bring the contacts from that account. So this account has 2 contacts, I think. So anytime an opportunity gets inserted, I want to create the contact roles, both of them under the opportunity. Simple enough. So I think I've seen this use case before. So when an opportunity gets inserted, all I want to do is grab those contacts, all the contacts from that account, and insert them under the contact roles, which is opportunity contact role. Okay. And I also have a quick, before we even jump into the flow builder, I want to show you how to think about it. And it's also a good idea if you are beginning to actually sketch it out. It doesn't have to be fancy sketch, but just like try to visualize it. So in this case, the opportunity is getting inserted and under an account. So we have account, we have contact, the account already has some contacts. We are inserting an opportunity. Now, when you're inserting an opportunity, we can get those contacts because opportunity is tied to account through account ID. So we grab all those contacts from here, and now we have the contacts, and we can put all those contacts in a variable, which is a collection variable. I'll show you what that means in a second. So once you have the contacts, what do you want to do? Now you have a list of contacts, right? We really want to create the opportunity contact role. So we use the loop element. Let's not even talk about the loop element first. So what you want to do is you want to slice those lists in and actually dig inside the list to then grab what do you need for opportunity contact role. You obviously need the opportunity ID and the contact ID and the role field. So when you dig inside that contact, you can get the contact ID, an opportunity ID you'll already have, and we are going to start assigning, and these inside the green ones are the assignment elements. So we're going to assign. So let's say whatever fields you need to create the op contact roles, we will assign them here, but now it's just one opportunity contact role. And then we're going to add those one by one contact roles into a list here. So we are taking the contact list, slicing it, putting it inside opportunity contact role, because that's what we want to create, and then we are adding that to a list. And then yay, we have, basically we're going to keep looping that until we finish all the contacts. So let's say if there are 10 contacts, you're going to get, first time, get inside here, grab the contact ID, opportunity ID, whatever fields we need, add it to the list, then go back. And that cycle continues until you go through all the contacts. And then at the end, we finish the list, right? After we finish it, we insert all the contact roles that you just created here, the list, and insert all the contact roles in once, and you are done. So I hope that made sense. Now let's go inside the flow. And I'm already here in the flow builder. I picked the record change flow, and this is also gives me an opportunity to try out the functionality that's coming up with Summer 20, which is after record is saved. So I'm going to say after record is saved or record is inserted, choose object, opportunity. Your flow builder might look different depending on which instance you are in. But with Summer 20, everybody's going to look like this. So I just wanted to create a video on the Summer 20 platform. So okay, we're in opportunity. Now, what do we want to get? We actually first want to get all the contacts. All right, that's fine. Get contacts. We say contact here, and we're going to say ID. So basically the ID of the contact needs to be equal to actually we should be able to grab that opportunity.account ID from here directly. We don't need to query that anymore. This is like the super cool feature with Summer 20. So because the opportunity is already here, opportunity.account ID will be equal to that contact IDs. And we want to get all the records because there could be multiple contacts with same account ID, which are all the children. And so here, just want you to pay attention here. There are three ways you can store the record data. You can automatically store all the fields, which is the default. You can choose fields and let Salesforce do the rest, or you can choose fields and assign variables, which is the advanced. And this was the only option available previously, but now Salesforce can actually do this for you. If you're a beginner, I would stick to this one, but definitely recommend as well to check out other ones, because in these you'll actually have to create your own list variable that I talked about. But here, all right, here it will already create a list variable for you. Anyways, this video is not about get records, so we connect here, get records. Now what? We have contacts, so let's go back to we got the contacts. Now we need to loop through those contacts. This is where we're going to talk about loop. So just name it loop through contacts. And what's the collection variable? We only have one collection variable, so it's easy. Get contacts and see how naming convention really helps you. So that's contact variable. And this is also a functionality with Summer 20. In your org, you might need to create a variable called a contact single variable, because you are slicing that contact list. So, but here we don't need to do that. So let's just keep moving. So we're looping through the contacts. That's it. That's all the loop does. The loop itself is not intimidating, but how to use it can be a little bit intimidating, but you should. And loop is mostly always used with assignment element or decision element, depending on what you're going for. But here we're going to say assign contact to contact role. So first we're going to assign a single variable. So in order to assign, we obviously need a record variable. So let's create one. New resource. And we need a variable where contact role. think it's op contact roles called that. Data type is going to be record, and we don't want a multiple because first, remember, we need to get one contact role first, then we're going to go into list. So it's looking for it, opportunity contact role. We don't need that because it's going to stay within the flow, and you can add a description there. Hit done. So, and once you're here, again you need to click here. So basically the fields that you want to set. So the contact ID equals, now remember we are looping through that contact variable, and this current item, this is the loop variable, this is a single contact because that's the only thing you can loop. So you have a single contact role, you're going to assign a single contact here. So that's the current item from loop through, and if you're not in summer 20, this will be the variable that you created to loop it through. So dot ID, so that's the contact ID. What else do we need? Contact role dot opportunity ID, because it's a junction object, equals here, since you are in the flow of record dot opportunities, you can just get that from here, ID, and I think you also need role. So that's the role, and ideally you might have certain business use cases around your, maybe you have some decision elements, but here we're just going to go for everybody is signed as business user. And I'm doing this for the first time too, so if we have any errors, we will debug it together. Alright, so we got the loop, assignment, and start joining this right here. So it will ask you for each item in the collection, and that's the only option. Like for the first time, obviously you want to go for each item in the collection. Now another assignment. Remember the other green thing that I had? So now we're going to add where contact role to a collection, and my naming is pretty obvious, so I can skip description, but if your naming is not okay, definitely add description. Now here we're going to add those individual contact roles into a collection. So for that you need to create a bucket. So basically a collection, think of it like a bucket, and you're like literally filling in that bucket with opportunity contact role single variables. So let's call it collection of op control, and it's a record, allow multiple values. That's what determines if this is a collection. And then you're going to say opportunity contact role should be here. There you go. And that is fine. Done. Now, when you pick a collection, you will notice there are different types of, what are they called? Operators here. So what do you want is adding the operators. There are multiple ones. Opportunity contact role, and now we're going to add that single variable that we just created, which is called var op contact role. And you can remove that dot because you don't need that. We're just adding that single variables into the collection, and that's it. Hit done. Now let's join this as well. Now what do? We are going to close the loop because we are done, at least with this one. So here, same thing. It's exactly the same as I showed here. Now at the end, the main task is actually to create those contact roles, opportunity contact roles. So create op contact roles here, and we're creating multiple records. And as you select multiple, it will actually not let you, like you will have to use a record collection. There is no other option. If you're going to create multiple records, you definitely need to create a collection. And if you are creating a collection, meaning you probably end up using loop, because I think that's the only way you can assign things to a collection. I mean, you could assign a single variable to a collection, but that really defeats the purpose. So okay, collection op contact role, and basically it says make sure the ID is blank, which will be blank because it's not created yet. Hit done, and now we just add this, and something went wrong there. Oh, look at that. So this is how you end the loop right here. Okay, let's try this again. Close the loop here, and after the loop it needs to go there. Okay, sorry about that. So that's it. Now save it. Create op contact roles on opportunity insertion. Save it. Test it. Activate this, because usually when you're debugging it, you provide an ID or some kind of reference so that Flow can refer those and debug it. But in this case, we can activate this, and now let's actually try it out. So what I'm going to do is go to this account, and remember that's active, and we have 2 contacts here. So what we're expecting to see is once I create an opportunity, 2 contact roles should be created. Okay, hit new, and it's only on create, so I'm gonna have to create a new opportunity. Let's just give some values here. Name, test, flow, stage, doesn't matter. Okay, and you can obviously add other conditions inside your flow. So let's say if you want to only create those contact roles on opportunity, whatever stage. So we have the opportunity created, we didn't add it out, so that's good sign. And we don't have contact roles. I'm just gonna see, did I activate it after the record is saved? Okay. Alright, fingers crossed. So something did not work out. In why it didn't create the contact roles that I wanted it to create. So if you're interested in how to debug, basically all you need to do is go to debug logs and turn on the debug, set it up for yourself, and it will ask you what time range. So here's what the debug log looks like, and I know it looks a little bit scary when you look at it first. When you actually look at it, you'll see that I have create op contact role on creation. That was my flow name, so it started here, and then it got all the contacts that it needed and whatnot. It also looped through it, but here I can see that the loop through contacts didn't really work for some reason, and I'm not sure if this is a summer 20, and maybe because I have a trial summer 20 pre-release org, but for whatever reason the loop through contacts decided not to work here, and which is why it didn't create any op contact roles, because it should have gone through the loop and it should have created that list of the contact roles that I wanted it to create and then inserted. It's showing total 1 of 150, which is this is the limit I was talking to you about earlier, but except it didn't really create any records because there are no records and the flow loop just didn't work. So this is very interesting. Hopefully this is not how it will be when it goes live, but just for the sake of this video, what I did is go ahead and created it in current instance of Salesforce, which is not summer 20. This is spring 20 instance, and basically everything remains the same. And another tiny mistake I made was, which was in the get records, I had to pick the account ID instead of ID, obviously, because contact.account ID, not ID equals account ID. So that was like a really mistake that on my part. But So we are back in Spring 20 because Summer 20 didn't work, and we're going to do it manual way. So same thing, everything applies the same. We are still getting the contacts, looping through it. So instead of using record.account ID here, I'm using var account ID, and this will be passed through process builder, which is the major difference between Spring 20 and Summer 20. In Spring 20, the only way you can do these things is by using a process builder to launch the flow. With Summer 20, you don't have to do that because the flow can do after insert transactions. So that just adds one more step of actually creating that variable, and then you have to create a process builder to launch that flow. But so we're going to loop through contacts, assign the contact to the contact role. Basically the same concept still remains the same. And here I also had to actually manually create the loop variable, and this is the upgrade with Summer 20, which automatically clears this. Not a big deal. All you need to do is just like, if I want to really quick show you, the same thing. You just create a variable, record type, and then you pick record, and then you pick opportunity contact role here. Just a single, not multiple, because remember, we are filling the bucket with the contact roles variables. So same thing, I already have that, so I'm going to exit out of that. And then basically the same thing, you close the loop right here. So you loop through it, assign the first one, assign the second one, close the loop, and then create the opportunity contact role. And this worked pretty nicely. So I didn't create a process builder, but ideally you'll be launching this from process builder, and then you will pass the var act ID. This will be the opportunity.contact ID, and then you'll also pass the record ID of the opportunity in order to get this part. In order to get the var op ID, you need to pass the opportunity ID of the record, ID of the opportunity into the flow. So when you activate this, you'll create a process builder, and then you pass those values, and the process should only fire on create and not on create or update, because otherwise you'll start seeing multiple opportunity contact roles. Okay, and the way you'll test this is pretty simple, and you can actually debug it here because it's not after update, it's not an after insert thing, it's not $symbol record, so you can just literally hit debug and pass those values. And these are the values you'll actually be passing from the process. So var act ID and var op ID. So I'm just going to go to the org here and get the opportunity ID. So I have one opportunity already here. I'm going to copy that, pass it here, and then the account will be the same account's opportunity. So that is going to that Atkins account, getting that value, and hit run, and it will tell you that, see, this is how it's look in the back end. If you want to loop through it, so start from here, loop through the contacts. We got 2 contacts. My account had 2 contacts. We loop through it, and this is the assignment part where I'm assigning one ID to one record, basically. So we got one record here, var op role opportunity ID equal to this and that, and business user. And then what's going to do is going to go back to that loop because there's one more contact left. Same process repeat. If there were multiple contacts, the same process will repeat n times, and finally the loop will end, and you'll have a list by the end, which is, this is the list value. So as you can see, there's a square bracket here, which means it's a list, and the square bracket has contact ID, role, and opportunity ID. Those are the fields you assigned. And again, you have the same thing for the second row. So that means two opportunity contact roles should be created for this opportunity. The way that will look like is, if I actually go to that opportunity, I'm just going to hit back, and here, so those are the contact roles that got created. I'll have 4 because I ran that flow 2 times in this opportunity. So that's it. Role, we have the contact and the account association here, and obviously the opportunity, because this is on the opportunity. Okay, hope that was helpful. And so basically, just to recap, this is how the flow works. The loop element and the assignment work hand in hand, and then you insert all the contact rows. Doesn't matter whether you're using the new version with Summer 20, the concept still remains the same. What changes is whether you will launch this flow from the process, or you can just use the flow directly and no need to launch from the process from Summer 20. I'm going to look into why that loop didn't work in the Summer 20 release, but since the video was about flow, loop and assignment, I hope this was helpful, and please let me know in the comments what do you think, and if you have any questions, or if you try it out and if it didn't work, let me know. Thank you so much.